No further ado, please, Wu-Town, give it a big Wu-Town welcome to the gorgeous, the wonderful Micky Two Hats, yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the theys, welcome. Now, Luke came to see me the other day, and he knew I was struggling a bit. So he said, come along, put yourself out in front of people and get yourself back on form, because I've been struggling since COVID, really. But a long COVID. There's quite a lot of side effects you get from it, but there are some that people don't tell you about. I mean, for instance, you lose your sense of smell. You lose your sense of taste. No one told me you could lose your sense of style. I used to be a snappy dresser. I mean, look at me now. I should have known just by watching TV. I mean, Boris had COVID, didn't he? I mean, look at him. What a shambles. Anyway, I've got this, and this covers up quite a multitude of sins. They're Weight Watchers' sins. But I'm now really looking like a pair of curtains out of a care home, as somebody said the other day. A sofa from a three-piece suite that's been fly-tipped. But frankly, it's called done caring with COVID. So I'm past that now. Because the thing that I've really been struggling with over the period is my weight. I've put on a few pounds since lockdown. And quite a lot of people have done that too. They've put on a few pounds here and there, discrete inches, which is good for me because it shows that the government policy of levelling up obesity is going well. So these things come along and sort of catch you up slowly. And I didn't really know I was putting on weight at the time. When it first started, I had a friend of mine, somebody I've known my entire life. We really got on well. We were not bosom pals, but we were the best of pals. And then one day we fell out. We fell out over a dining table. Can you imagine that? How could you fall out with somebody over a dining table? He wanted to buy it. He sold it to somebody, but I actually hadn't sold it to him before he sold it to somebody else. I was still dining on it. So we fell out. I mean, you know, taking my livelihood away from me. Anyway, we fell out and nothing much was said for a bit. So I texted him back and I said, look, our friendship means much more than just some second-hand furniture. And he texted me back in uppercase, caps. Fuck off, fatty, he said. So I realised at that point that these things were catching up with me. And your best friends do tell you sometimes what goes on. So it was all a bit of a shock. And that moment, you know, lifetime on the lips, moment on the lips, lifetime on the hips became really for me. And I realised that I was slowly becoming, everywhere I went, the biggest person in the room. I've been to a few events recently and I looked around and I thought, must be somebody bigger than me, you know? It was me. Anyway, I went to this guy's wake and I found myself walking around with 2 plates of sandwiches. So it looked like I got one for somebody else. One gets up to all these little tactics as you go along. But it was sweet revenge, because if revenge is a dish best served cold, at least I had a finger food platter for his revenge. Anyway, it goes on, and I've got a friend of mine who's really cool. He's rock star cool. And when I stand next to him, I realise he's got clothes he can still get into from the 70s. He's of an age, he looks a bit like sort of Bill Nye, Ian McKellen, you know, that sort of type of thing. He's sort of, you know, Gandalf of the Caribbean, really. And he's super cool. And he's got these fantastic clothes. I dive again into his wardrobe. It's about the only thing of his I can get into. But he's not out of the closet yet, so I haven't done it. Anyway, we go everywhere together, and we went to a gig. So we walked into the gig, we were sitting around, and I got a bit peckish, so I went up to the bar to get a beer and some pork scratchings. And the woman said to me behind the bar, the bar star operative said to me, "Who's that amazingly cool guy you're the minder for?" There was a slight pause, and then she said, "Not that you're not cool." And I realised at that moment that you can't be big, fat and cool. Worse than that, you can't be cool and get any respect. I was in Boston, Massachusetts. Anyone been to Boston, Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Well, there's a good Irish-American contingent there. They don't particularly like the Brits. So I walked into a smart Brooks Brothers store downtown, and I said to the guy, "I'd like to buy a waistcoat and some trousers." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, you mean vest and pants?" I thought, "Yeah, I'd like some vest and pants." And he said, "Well, I'm sorry, but round here people take rather more care of themselves, and we don't have anyone who has a waist over 42 inches. So if you want to buy your trousers and waistcoat, you better go down to the outside mall on the retail park on the outside of town." "Thank you, asshole," I said. As he finally replied to me, he said, "They've got places down there that accommodate acres of ass. Just suitable for you, sir." So off I went, and indeed he was right, because the great thing about American outlet malls is they have X sizes. You go into a charity shop looking for someone to fit you, and I look in the 3X rack, and even they're slightly small, but in America they got 7XL. Phew. I go in there, I drown, I think, now I'm svelte man. Anyway, I was also in a rather nice vintage store in London, and I was in there looking around for something to wear, event coming up, and there was a famous actor wandering up and down, examining the rails, looking at silk cravats, blazers, three-piece suits rather, and I found a jacket.
That's where that came from.
That's it's another Freudian slip. Anyway, I looked at a jacket, and I found a jacket, and I put it on. I said, "Does it suit you? Does it suit me? Shall I get it?" He said, "Darling," he said, "whenever you find something that fits you, buy it. Things like that size don't come by very often." So I thought, well, that's a bit rich. Anyway, I found a hat, and I thought, well, that fits. So I put it on. It was a boater, straw boater. I put it at a little jaunty angle, looking in the mirror, and I said to him, "Does this suit me?" He said, "Yes, you now look like a French pork butcher." So these things add up. They don't do your self-esteem very good. But I've always been trying to lose weight. It just keeps finding me. Tried bulimia, but I'm sick of that now. Anyway, I went to see a friend of mine the other day, and I walked in, and I looked at him, and I thought, "Oh God, he's run to fat." Very little running involved in either of us, I can tell you. Anyway, he came up to me after we had lunch, very nice lunch it was, and he said, "Look, I've got this brand new pair of trousers, but they don't fit me. They should fit you." And I looked at them and I thought, they fitted me perfectly to a T. Now they say you should walk a mile in somebody else's shoes before you judge them. Try having an erection in someone else's trousers. That's another story altogether. Anyway, these things add up, and you get knocked back. And I've kept on struggling trying to get rid of it, but I've got a relationship with food that I just can't get over. And got a telephone call the other day, well, it was a couple of years ago, and somebody said, "Would you like to be on a reality TV show?" A very nice, chatty PA woman from a TV production company. Very friendly, very nice. So I said, "Yeah, I'd love to be." And I thought of, Big Brother, Extreme SAS, Love Island. I thought, this has come my way. She said, We hear you're rather a larger than life character who likes his grub. Would you like to come dine with me? So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll do that. So, I don't know if any of you watch Come Dine With Me. A lot of people deny it. You may have seen it by accident. In a hotel foyer when you pass by, something like that. Anyway, it's this ridiculous show, but how could you possibly turn down going out to dinner 5 nights a week for a 3-course meal provided by somebody else with pudding? I'm not a pudding guy. I don't necessarily believe it, but I have to eat a lot of tiramisu, chocolate mousse, rum baba, apple pie, more tiramisu, to be able to make points and decide who's going to get those valuable points at the end of the night when you get in that taxi and you have to vote on people's cooking. It's very strategic, by the way. Everyone lies through their teeth, and all the food is cold. I mean, you'd expect that of a pudding, but even the main courses are cold. And they confiscate the wine from you in the middle of the gig. You're there at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and you think, oh, God, I could do it. And they've taken the wine away, and you don't get the wine back till after 4 o'clock in the morning, when they put you in the taxi and drive you around and you have to vote. Anyway, I didn't win, sadly. And it's been repeated hundreds of times. You get paid a pittance to do it, you sign away universal rights. Because of satellites now, you have to put your rights away for the universe. So you sign away universal rights, and it gets repeated, and it gets repeated, and it gets repeated, and I still don't win. And I think it's unfair. You should get something else. Anyway, they said, this is going to cause you to become a bit of a celebrity. You'll be on television, and people will be recognizing you in the streets, and you'll be asked to do things. You might be asked to open the local supermarket. Big time. Here comes the big time. I've been asked to do one thing, which was to judge the under 11 cake baking competition for a village fete. And I turned into Simon Cowell and was really mean to everybody. Anyway, so coming back to my friend who's really cool. We go on holiday together, and nothing strange about that. Everyone thinks we're a couple though. We're both satisfactorily married elsewhere, but we go on holiday together to get away from things. And we went, it's usually my choice of where we go to. So this year we went to Madeira, named after a cake. I thought, that's very good. Next year we're going to Turkey. So there's always a food-based theme to it. I suppose I'll have to make chili at some point. Anyway, so there we were, and he eats like a bird because he's got this great cool. He's got to retain his cool, so he's got to stay thin, he's got to look cool, so he can't be there. And one of the reasons he sort of likes me is because I'm the sort of bumbling Boris to his Rees Mogg. I'm his sweaty compadre who he can sort of look down on and think I'm running to fat. Anyway, so he doesn't drink alcohol, doesn't eat much, and we were out there, and I kept on popping out for walks, and he said, you're not going out for a walk really, are you? You're going to the bar to have another drink. He said, you can't stop, can you? You're driven to it. You must just always have something in your hand which you want to put into your face. Food, drink. I don't know where you put it all. I mean, if you want to lose weight, you've got to stop eating anything fatty. I said, what? Tonight we went out and had fish. He said, you've got to stop eating anything fatty. So, we have a fun time together. But I realised that, I've got to take myself, get a grip of it all. So I went to see the doctor, because every year the doctor gives you an MOT test when you reach a certain age. It's quite fun. You go down, hop on the scales say, we're only going to weigh one person at a time, please. Have those. So, and that gets locked up in your little log, and they take your blood pressure. Mine's quite good, effectively, and I've got good cholesterol, which always irritates them. That irritates them more than anything else. So if your cholesterol's low, why is it an offence? But then they stick a finger up your bum, and I said to her, how many prostates have you examined? And she said, about 5,000. Then, later on, I had to go to the hospital to have it examined further. And she had examined 30,000 bottoms. Amazing number. Anyway, so that's a digit for you. So there we were, and she says to me, look, do you smoke and do you drink? And I said, well, I don't smoke until I drink, and I don't drink until the dog takes me to the pub at 10 o'clock. She looked at me and said, you're in good shape, it's just the wrong one. Here's my prescription. She handed me over a piece of paper, and I picked it up and I looked at it, and it just said, go to bed early. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take some coffee and cocoa and some biscuits and go to bed and leave you in the firm hands of Luke. And just remember, if anyone ever calls you fat, you're bigger than that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Micky Thank you. Superb.